Hi, everybody. It's Jenny Jetson. Jenny Jetson! Welcome, Jenny Jetson. I am Jenny Jetson from Surviving to Thriving, multiple gunshot victim, survivor, mother, author, powerhouse, superhero, entrepreneur, smart, businesswoman, amazing, hysterical, funny. Did I say writer? Hopefully, film producer someday. And I'm in the middle. Actually, we are at the end of the five-part series, which we are covering the five stages of grief, which every therapist, counselor's office across America is aware, and you will be guided through if you go there for any kind of traumatic loss. It was developed to help people go through the stages of grief after death, and it was really coined by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. I think that we need to move beyond this, specifically for trauma survivors and PTSD in particular. But before I move away from it, I want to give it its due time and credit by talking about how the five stages, what it looked like, what I think it looked like in my life as I was going through the early stages of recovery, and what I did to bring myself out of some of these stages, because some of them are not that fun to be in. And they overlap and there's no order to them. We're on the final stage. The other stages, we've gone over denial, anger, bargaining. I can never remember that. It's the worst. It's like, how can this not happen again? Making deals with yourself, whatever. Depression, which is probably the easiest, when you're depressed because you're miserable and miserable to be around. And then acceptance. Acceptance is easiest, I think, because it's the joyous one, right? When you've accepted what has happened, then you can move on a little bit. So I think, the earlier that you can take in stride, your new world and take it with you, and then try and get some enthusiasm and some momentum around them, then you'll just, kind of move on with it. So when I think about acceptance, it really is okay. How that manifested with me is okay, this happened to me. I don't have a place to live. I don't have a job at the moment. I've got to figure out how to walk and find a job so that I can, rent a place so that my daughter's no longer living with friends. It's like I've got a lot to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use my leg to its full extent as I did before, but this is the new me and I'm going to figure it out. So this happened. I have and I need to figure out how to deal with this new reality. So it's, rebuilding the phoenix from the butterfly, the caterpillar to the butterfly. Um, and I thought, there's really a choice that I felt that I had the power to make. And it was pretty easy for me to make these choices as, um, especially when I was in a deep, dark place, because that's natural, right? Your brain's not functioning correctly. So you're having, these thoughts and you're feeling, it's just things are healing. But given the choice of feeling anger and hate and blame and fear and scared, right? Or love, forgiveness, joy, happiness, you know, um, we all have kind of the angel and the devil. Who are you going to listen to, right? And it's like, no, no. I remember there was a cartoon. Uh, which one are you going to listen to? I'll take love, or darkness or light. So for me, these five stages and talking with them with therapists, um, it's going back to that dark place. Let's talk about the grief. Let's talk about your anger. Let's talk about your loss. Let's talk about all of that stuff. And it's like that is helpful, but I need the other side of that as well. If we're going to spend some time talking about my anger, pissed off issues, then we need to spend equal enough time focused on not those feelings, because I'm there all the time. Me telling you those feelings so that you can understand my state. I know what my state is. My state is I don't want to be here. So we need to make sure that we're counterbalancing all of that with the lighter side, with the life side, right? Uh, where are you in your sense of spirit, your sense of your being, your mind, your body, your soul, your presence? Where are you in those areas? How healthy are you there? Um, and I think, that's where my mind wants to go. That's what I was interested in pursuing, even now, because my trauma is always going to be with me. This thing happened, but I need to be able to move through it with me. And I need the skills quickly to be a normal functioning human so that I can look individuals in the eyes and not be terrified to be out in public. It takes a while. So, anger or love, darkness or light, war or peace, right? It's, are you a fighter? Some, you're going to want to just go there. Your brain's going to instantly going to want to go there, but it's not going to do you any good when you're trying to get stuff done and love yourself. So, try and find some peace in there, accept what happened, and then, the war, the anger, the darkness, it'll start to go away a little bit, and it'll give you some room to bring in some of the lighter side into your brain so that you can focus on moving forward a little bit. Um, we're all going to be very unique in our acceptance, in our entire recovery process. And, I think about it as like Humpty Dumpty or puzzle pieces, right? It's you were this person sitting on this wall, and something happened and you dropped and now you're in 1,000 pieces. And it's your job to put those pieces back together again, the best of your ability. Again, you might be something totally different when all the pieces are put back together. You might be something way better than you were before, right? Way better. If you take the time to really heal and find yourself along the way, or at least deal with yourself along the way, you might like yourself better by the end of it. You might feel like a stronger person, more capable, and able to pick yourself up like never before and motivate not only yourself but others around you, because you're solid. You know, you've you've seen this, you've been to the other side and you're on your way back. So what helps me a lot in the acceptance phase is talking about it. So a lot of therapy can be good for people. If you don't feel like you have anybody to talk to, there's always someone, therapy that you can talk to. There's all kinds of networking. You can go on Facebook pages, has all kinds of survivors groups. I've started one, PTSD and gun violence support group. I'm a member of others. It's a community that I reach out to, and they support me when I don't feel alone or I have questions about, hey, do you tell people at work? Like, do you check that box? Or, am I the only one that feels totally alone and surprised that nobody is calling me and supporting me? I've just been, you know, I barely survived this thing. You know, no one's going to reach out and say, hello, how are you? Right? It's like, is it normal? Am I the only one? It just seems strange. So it's nice to have a community that you can talk to, or write about it, learn from others. I reached out to different survivors, which I will have on, people that I could learn from. How did you, and how do you deal with this? Um, and then by sharing your story, figuring out how to share your story, which I think is important to do. In sharing your story, it's amazing how other people then are free to share their stories. And when you hear somebody else's story of getting over a traumatic experience or survival of something, you know it's interesting. You can almost see a weight lift off someone, that they were able to tell someone about an event that happened to them or that they were a part of. It's like a weight is lifted off of them, and you will forever be connected to that individual, um, because you took the time to listen to them. So in sharing your story, you might get more in return, which is a lovely and wonderful thing, because we all have these stories of trauma, and it would be nice if we were a bit more open in sharing them at times. So don't be afraid, especially in your early stages, to talk about this with people. Let's see, what else? Learn from other survivors, pictures of healing. I don't remember what that meant. Observations, find the funny, blog, share, post. Yeah, I did all of those things, find the funny in situations, um, and blog about them, share them, and post them. So I did all of those things. I try and use humor a lot to tell my story in a way that wouldn't be sad for people to listen to. The deep, dark heaviness of, trauma and gun violence and all of this stuff. Um, I wanted to be able to talk about it in a way that, might be what's the funny side of what happened, right? The things that you're thinking about at the time that, the ironic bits and pieces that came to you along the way that are funny to talk about, share the story as a third person almost, if that makes sense. But I wrote about things like, people on airplanes cutting me off when I had crutches, and, people who had self inflicted wounds versus, physical wounds. Um, and I'm not going to talk about that one because I think that might be a little controversial. But what else did I have? Oh, people coming up to you on crutches and the odd, weird things that people would say to me. So I just started recording them, right? And my response to people would be different depending on the situation. So, and then their responses to my, oh, what happened, right? When I was on crutches, you just kind of write about all of those things as you're learning and experiencing on the way. And then I would put them as Facebook posts for people who, may or may not be wondering and didn't want to really bother me. Just let them know that I'm getting through stuff. Or, when I posted that this happened to me, it was about a month after. It's on my blog, or it's on my website, and I think I posted it on. I know I posted it on Facebook. Um, and it was how I announced to my friends and family online that this happened to me that I hadn't connected with, right? And it was a piece that I wrote called "Side Boob Saved My Life," and it was more about, you know, the acceptance of me and, this body part that I'd always tried to avoid, side boob. It's not a very pretty thing at times. It's, usually it means that something's not fitting you correctly. It's like, nice dress, but I can't. Side boob. Or, nope, side boob, can't do it. Nope, nope, side boob. It was always this thing, but, side boob saved my life. So now when I see this body part hanging out of things or being pinched or whatever is going on with it, I love it to death. And I thanked my side boob. Um, and, it was a funny way to talk about what had happened to me. And it let people know that I still had a sense of humor and that I could, talk about it in a way that I was okay with. Really, it wasn't about other people. It was like, how can I write about this and be okay with it and be like, okay, this works for me. And it was using a little bit of a little bit of humor, a little bit of humor. So I did that. What else did I say about acceptance? Give yourself credit. You were the miracle, right? Um, accept that you were saved for a reason. If you have any kind of survivor's guilt, we talked about this briefly before, you need to forgive yourself, um, and move past that. I saw a medium in the past, and if I felt that there, and I would use one for sure, if I felt that there were people in my past that I outlived for some reason, and I felt guilt that maybe I had done something, and that I had done something and caused part of their death, or I survived and they didn't, or I pushed somebody out of their way and they took the bullet, but it was a mistake. If you've got any kind of survivor's guilt, I promise you, the people that were affected by this um, harbor no ill will towards you, and there's great forgiveness and love out there in the world. And so you need to tap into that and forgive yourself as well. But if you don't believe me, find a good medium. You can, text me and I'll give you the name of a person that I saw help other people and gave me a great sense of strength every day since I saw this person speak to the dead come through, which is really strange to think about. But, you're here for a reason. Feeling guilty is just holding you back, it's attaching you to the past. Um, you need to honor the person or the people or the situation that didn't make it. And holding on to the anger, holding on to the frustration is not honoring their memory, nor is it really giving meaning to your life. So, you were here. We need to celebrate that. You need to check that box and live the best life that you can, right? This is your second chance in life. What are you going to do with it? Who are you going to be? Where are you going with it? Right? Again, I'm climbing to the top of this mountain and I want people to come with me. And if you were ever waiting for a signal of what you should be doing or what you shouldn't be doing, living through a near death experience is about all the wake up call that I am willing to take to realize, okay, I was meant to do something different. I'm not going to waste this opportunity by just going through the motions and pretending like this miracle of me surviving this thing didn't happen. I'm going to honor it. And how am I going to honor it? I'm going to honor it the best way I know how, which is to be my true, authentic self, share the story with as many people that are interested in hearing it in hopes that it might be able to help them. And people who don't want to hear about, violence, and people who don't want to hear about depression, and people who don't want to hear about, struggle, it means that they most likely haven't had to deal with it in their past, and you need to forgive them, and they're very, very lucky. But this is my victory, and I get to talk about it. This is my Olympic gold medal. And I'm very excited to share the miracle of me surviving this thing with everybody in the world who wants to hear about it. I would love if everybody can take their trauma and turn it around in such a way where it empowers them and those around them, and you now become an inspiration to those. Um, that's what we all should be striving for. At least that's what I'm striving for. And that's the people that I'm speaking with. If this is something that's interesting to you, I would like to spend the rest of my life developing programs and reaching out to people to figure out what I can do to make them feel like the miracle that they are, that you survived this for a reason. And again, if you've got the guilt and you're feeling like you're not worthy, you need to let that go. You survived. You need to get busy living, right? Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying. You did not die. You have no business not living. We need to get you up, right? So this is the 5 stages of grief, right? You accepted. Now you can move on. And, in spite of it all, we're here. We're survivors, picking up our pieces one by one, bit by bit, putting them back together. We're not alone. We're just jigsaw pieces. We're all coming together. And the picture is going to be beautiful at the end because we've completed it. Doesn't matter what the picture is going to be. Our task is to put ourselves back together, right? With the help of others. I'd like to help you as much as possible, but we're in this together, and we're on this journey together. So that's it about the 5 stages. Now we can move on to becoming a human being, because we are special and unique. And somebody may have died in the grief period. It may have been our old self. But that's all I have to say about the 5 stages of grief and how that manifested in my life, and what I did to get through that. So thank you for listening. It's helpful for me to go through all of this stuff. I did take notes. Some of them I read, some of them I don't. I hope at least it was interesting to listen to me ramble along. It would be nice to have a guest, to have somebody else to break up the sound of my nice squeaky voice. But Jenna Jetson, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Be good, be kind to yourself. We're in this together. Jenny Jetson, surviving to thriving. Visit me online, follow me, like me, whatever all those kids are doing with the Facebook. But, anybody that you think this message would help, please do your part in sharing and spreading the word. Bye.